Hello viewers and welcome to yet another special video from Cardboard of the Rings, the bi-weekly podcast about the Lord of the Rings, the card game, which is a living card game by Fantasy Flight Games. This is yet another entry in the LOTR LCG progression series, and it's going to be the very first adventure of the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle. So we've finally managed to progress beyond the 3 core set scenarios. We've gone ahead and done an exhaustive opinion, review, and analysis of all of those player and hero cards. We've gone ahead and taken a sneak preview at the player cards and single hero cards included within this Hunt for Gollum adventure pack, and now we're ready to finally experience this scenario firsthand. So, Matthew, as we're just about to start our Shadows of Mirkwood cycle, why don't you go ahead and introduce what this story is all about?
Sure. As the first adventure pack in the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle, the Hunt for Gollum is setting the stage for the coming quests by putting us in search of the creature Gollum, whose capture is really the overall goal in the Shadows of Mirkwood. For this first quest, our heroes are tasked with uncovering the clues to his whereabouts. So at the request of Gandalf, our heroes are searching for Gollum in the Anduin Valley, which is between the Misty Mountains and the Mirkwood Forest. And we'll be picking up on rumors that have suggested that Gollum is in this area, and our heroes are looking for these clues that might put them on the elusive creature's trail.
So, now that we understand this quest from a narrative perspective, why don't we go ahead and break it down into how these mechanics work in our brand new scenario here. So, it's all about trying to eventually find Gollum, as these 6 adventure packs kind of one by one make their appearance, and we work through each step of this story one part at a time. What this adventure is all about is finding the very first initial signs of Gollum in the clue of objective cards. And the way that these cards work is they're first of all objectives, so we're going to be going through our encounter deck and gradually discovering these. They're guarded, so when they interplay, that means the next encounter card in sequence is going to be attached to them, and it's got a response effect, which reads, after the player's quest successfully, the players may claim signs of Gollum if it has no attached encounters. When it's claimed, you can attach it to any hero committed to the quest, and it counts as a condition attachment with forced. After attached hero is damaged or leaves play, return this card to the top of the encounter deck. So our goal here is going to be finding these elusive clues as we filter through the encounter deck and work our way through the quest deck, and then to try to hold on to them as long as we can. Matthew, why don't you go ahead and tell us about what the biggest threat to us finding these clues is going to be?
Yeah, the most potent foe in our Hunt for Gollum are the Hunters from Mordor. They have an engagement cost of 34, 2 threat, 2 attack, 2 defense, 6 hit points. The problem, though, they sound somewhat wimpy with their stats, kind of high hit points, but the Hunters get +2 attack strength and +2 threat for each clue card in play. They also have a really nasty shadow effect, which I'm sure we'll see at some point. And there's also 5 of them in the encounter deck. So odds are we're going to be seeing at least 1, if not maybe even all 5. These guys are also trying to hunt down Gollum. So it's sort of up to our heroes to make sure that we get the signs first and are able to escape these pretty deadly hunters.
Certainly, and considering that there are 4 copies of the Signs of Gollum card, 1 for each, possible player in the game, the possibility of pulling a Hunters from Mordor that has 10 threat and 10 attack strength is a pretty daunting adversary for sure. But before we go ahead and get this quest started, and before we break down our decks, why don't we go ahead and take a look at each of our quest sequences in turn, because each of them has a little bit of a special spin to the regular quest phase. So to set up, we're eventually going to be just revealing 1 card per player from the encounter deck, but as soon as we get to phase 1B, once we quest successfully, we're going to have to start churning through the encounter deck very quickly. So we'll be looking at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, revealing 1 of them and adding it to the staging area, and discarding the other 2 cards. There is one note here, since we're of course using the OCTGN digital playing surface, we're not going to be able to adhere to this rule of the first player only looking at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck. Unless I were to say, turn my back attack, deal out the encounter cards face up, and then blindly... the point is it's not going to work. Matthew can't see the encounter deck. It's just the way that OCTGN works. So, given that being what it is, we're both going to have to take a look at those encounter cards. As soon as we get to the second quest phase, this little stipulation, this special forced effect is going to change. So now it's at the beginning of the quest phase, the first player looks at the top 2 cards of the encounter deck, is going to reveal one of them and add it to the staging area and discard the other. So instead of after questing, this is now before. And the unique spin to the Hunt for Gollum quest deck is once you get to the very final quest phase, before you can complete the quest, you have to have heroes holding those clue objectives. So if a player doesn't have a hero with a clue attached, they cannot commit to the quest, and if there are ever if there's ever a moment when there are no clues in play, then the quest deck actually resets back to 2B. So our ultimate goal here is going to be to hold at least 1 clue, and then to finish quest phase 3B. Something important to keep in mind is that so long as we've got 1 powerful questing player, just like myself, if we can minimize the number of clues that we have in play, then those hunters from Mordor are not going to be nearly so deadly. But since we've spoken an awful lot about this quest and we haven't gotten to any of the nitty-gritty fun stuff yet, why don't you go ahead and introduce your deck for us, Matthew?
Sure. My deck is a combination of tactics and leadership, very similar to the deck I used in the very first Progression Series video. The major difference, and I think one of my personal goals for the Progression Series, is to use as many of the new cards in the Adventure Pack or the Deluxe Expansion as possible. I'm not going to include everything, because as we discussed in our review, some of the cards aren't quite yet relevant, but I'm just going to highlight the new cards here. 3 copies of the Winged Guardian, 3 copies of Campfire Tales. I've also included the Dunedain Mark. I didn't include the song, and I think Mitch will, when he discusses his deck, discuss why. But basic deck that I used before with a few new cards, so I'm excited to see how they work out.
Sure, so taking a look at my deck, mine is a little bit different than anything else we've seen so far, specifically because it has much more emphasis on the lore sphere than we've seen before. Traditionally, I really haven't put Bilbo Baggins to much use, so I'm going to be running our new hero Bilbo alongside Barivor for absolutely maximum card drawing during this scenario. I've got Eowyn for the Spirit Sphere and a lot of great questing. The Hunt for Gollum is really all about daunting locations amidst a few dangerous adversaries, so I'm really focusing on effects that are going to allow me to overcome that. I've got a lot of sturdy allies like Erebor Hammersmith, Gandalf, Northern Tracker. I'm trying out the new Westfold Horsebreaker just to maybe get some additional card draw, get some additional attacks out of Gimli. I've got all of Spirit's regular cancellation effects. I've got plenty of Radagast's Cunning, just in case we do have to deal with a 10-threat Hunters from Mordor coming off of the encounter deck, and I include Secret Paths for some of those locations, the brand new Strider's Path, just to put that through its paces. I've included Forest Snare just for, since I'll have such a plethora of lore resources. And just like Matthew mentioned, I've gone ahead and included Song of Kings, since I've taken the opportunity to include 3 of our new Rivendell Minstrel allies. So hopefully I should be able to contribute a lot of willpower to the quest. I should be able to do an awful lot of card draw, so I think this should be a pretty interesting scenario. Since we're not up against too many creatures here, we could even see Gimli contributing quite a bit to the quest, so we'll have to see how things go, but we'll, I guess, go ahead and start if you're ready, Matthew.
Yeah, let's hunt some Gollum.
Alright, so to kick things off, we've both got our starting threat set at 28. We'll go ahead and shuffle our player decks, and we'll go ahead and draw our starting hand of 6 cards. And it looks like I'm perfectly happy with my starting hand. How about yours?
Yeah, I think I'll actually keep mine as well.
Okay, great. Just one thought right off the bat, the sooner we can get resources onto Eowyn, the better. So, why don't we go ahead and kick things off? Shall I be first player, or shall you?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and start the game as first player. Why don't we go ahead and do our quest phase 1A now? So our setup is going to be revealing one card per player from the encounter deck and adding it to the staging area. So why don't we go ahead and reveal those cards, shuffling the encounter deck. So card number 1 is going to be a Hunters from Mordor. So right off the bat, here's our new enemy here. Card number 2 is going to be a Signs of Gollum. So
Right.
already this Hunters from Mordor is going to be 4 threat, 4 attack. This Signs of Gollum is guarded, so we're going to have to reveal an additional card. And that card is another Hunters from Mordor. Wow.
Oh, no.
So this is a pretty awful start. 8 threat in the staging area. Wow, that's pretty miserable there.
Yeah.
So I guess we transition to quest phase 1B, which is as soon as we quest successfully, and somehow I'm not so sure that's going to be happening for a little while, we're going to be revealing some cards and picking which one amongst the 3 we want to put into play. So let's see here. Why don't we go ahead and do our first turn, do our resources, draw a card. Alright, so after I've drawn my card and done my resources, since I've got Bilbo here in play, I'm going to go ahead and draw an additional card in the resource phase. And that additional card is actually pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and strip 2 resources off of my lore characters, and I'm going to go ahead and play Gleowine. I think I am going to end up having you draw a card. I don't think there's really too much nasty stuff coming off of the encounter deck in the form of, say, treacheries, so I'm going to go ahead and exhaust Gleowine to have you draw a card now.
Okay, perfect. Oh, thank you. Excellent card. And it's completely changed what I think I need to do. So, all right. It's on to my planning, correct?
Yes.
Man, I have so many options. It's unreal. Do I play allies? Do I play attachments? Do I save my resources? I'm wondering if I need a blocker to help with these Hunters from Mordor.
Yeah. Might I suggest something that will get rid of the Hunters from Mordor?
Well, the thing is, they all could do it in different ways. I have an attachment that's very nice for dwarves.
Okay.
I have a chump blocker I could use. I have some of the new cards in the leadership sphere that would help boost some of Gimli's stats. And then the extra card I got because of Gleowine, like I mentioned, is some resource generation. So do I save a leadership resource so I can have that next turn? I think that's probably the smartest idea. Yeah. I'm just torn as to whether or not I want the attachment or the ally.
Let's see. I think what's really important is, first of all, getting the Hunters from Mordor out of the staging area. Since I'm first player, if you were to, say, play a 2-cost leadership attachment next turn, I could benefit from that in order to play a certain Dunedain Ranger and get him going very quickly.
Yeah.
I want to say that I do not recall very many nasty shadow effects, with the exception of Hunters from Mordor, in this encounter deck.
Okay.
So if you were to play, say, a Winged Guardian, if you could keep that in play, that could probably do a lot of defending.
Yeah.
The risk, of course, is getting another clue in play. But
yeah, that's not the ally that I have.
Okay.
So, gosh. Well, I'll go ahead and do the ally, because if we don't take don't take him down next turn, I can play the other equipment. So here we go. It's going to be the Gondorian Spearman.
Okay.
And that will be all I play for this turn.
Okay, so that brings us to questing, and I suppose neither of us are in any danger of the Hunters from Mordor coming down and getting us quite yet.
Right.
Do you think I should commit all of my characters to the quest for 7?
Sure.
I suppose these are really the nastiest enemies we've got coming here. Hopefully we won't be so unlucky that we uncover more of these.
No.
So I suppose I'll commit 7. Who do you want to send?
I will certainly send Theodred.
Okay.
And I suppose Eowyn would like the resource.
That would be perfect.
I mean, I could certainly use them. I have so much good stuff, but I will donate it to you.
Okay.
And let's see. I could send Gimli.
Okay. Sure.
So we'll do that.
So that'll be a total of 10 committed.
I think this is the first time in our progression series that Gimli has quested, if I remember correctly.
I would imagine so. So why don't we go ahead and see what we reveal. So card number 1 for staging is going to be another Hunters from Mordor.
Uh-oh.
Wow, all right. And card number 2 is going to be a Goblin Town Scavengers. Good lord.
Yikes.
Wow. Well, I was going to say there really aren't very many enemies in the Hunt for Gollum, but I guess here we are.
Yeah.
So, when revealed, discard the top card of each player's deck. Until the end of the phase, increase their threat by the total printed cost of all cards discarded in this way.
Okay.
My top card is a 1, and yours is a 2.
Yep.
Alright, so that's going to be 4. A total of 16 threat in the staging area.
Yikes.
Which would put us at 34 threat. Would we like to both discard a card to Eowyn? Because otherwise, all of these hunters are going to come and attack us.
Yep, I can discard a copy of Dunedain Mark.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of a... I suppose I will get rid of a Strider's Path, as much as I wanted to try this new card.
Okay.
So that is going to put us at 12, and we're going to have to increase our threat by 4. Well, certainly not the way I was expecting this video to go.
No.
But fortunately, we do not have to trigger this quest effect, because we have not quested successfully.
Yeah.
Alright, so that brings us to travel, which we have to skip.
Yep.
And in turn, we have to go to engagement. So Goblin Town Scavengers is going to engage with me. Do you want to take it? I suppose it doesn't matter, since you've got a Sentinel and ranged character. But
yeah, I can certainly take it.
Okay, and I assume we'll leave all the hunters where they are?
Yep.
Okay. So, how shall we deal with the Goblin Town Scavengers?
Well, my handy-dandy Gondorian Spearman will defend.
Okay, so it's immediately going to take 1 damage, and let's go ahead and see what its shadow card is.
Ugh.
Attacking enemy gets +1 attack, which is going to be enough to kill your Gondorian Spearman.
Ooh, would have survived.
Very unfortunate, so...
Yeah.
And how do you want to deal with our Scavenger here?
Legolas will swing.
Alright, so Legolas, of course, manages to kill it outright, and that means 2 progress tokens on our first phase of the quest here. So, I guess that brings us to refresh.
Yep.
Alright, so boosting my threat to 33 already. I'm going to go ahead and make you the first player, and this turn you're going to draw 2 cards because of Bilbo.
Yep. Oh, gosh. My hand is fantastic. I just don't have the resources to pay for things.
Well, by all means, if you want to do Steward on yourself, go crazy.
Our favorite friend could make an appearance this round.
And I happen to have one also in my hand, so...
So, if... I would really... I know Eowyn needs the resources. Do you think she'll be able to get by if I'm just using Theodred to send them her way?
Yes.
Okay.
And this next turn, you wouldn't be able to boost her with Theodred, but next turn she'll be able to do it. That's really the only spirit card I've got. I'm trying to think of a clever way to end up getting the Signs of Gollum onto one of our characters, and then maybe having that character take some damage just to weaken the hunters. Just sufficiently, because if we can get that Signs of Gollum onto the top of the encounter deck, they all become so much more manageable.
Yeah. Alright, I'm going to play the Steward of Gondor. I was going to share this attachment, but I'm going to put it on myself, exhausted immediately to draw 2, so I'm not going to take off the resources to add them back. I'm going to use one of those resources to put a Dunedain Mark onto Gimli.
Okay.
And I'm going to save the resource for what I just alluded to a moment ago. And then I believe I also want to keep my tactics resources open.
Okay.
Because I've got a very handy card. So I believe that is all I'm going to do.
Okay, and for me, I think I'm going to go ahead and hold on. See, I guess the big scary thing here is if we don't quest successfully, we're going to end up having all of these hunters come down and attack us. I guess the big thing I'm afraid of is pulling another Signs of Gollum.
Right.
So, I guess I should have Gleowine commit to the quest. It's such a nasty prospect, but...
It is.
Alright, well, I guess we're just going to have to risk it. Let's...
Yeah.
And there's 12 out there. Oh my god.
Well, should I have our friend make an appearance for the questing phase?
We may have to. Let me see. 2, 3... So I'm going to be able to commit a total of 8. If we both ditch a card, that's 10. The Astari would bring it to 14, which still puts us awfully close. But that's probably our best bet. And he could still do his, say, 4 damage ability. So I suppose, shall we do that? Shall we go ahead and move on to questing?
Yep, we are in questing.
All right, so who are you going to commit?
Theodred. I'll give Eowyn the resource.
So he has to choose himself this time.
Oh, right, because I'm first player. Sorry about that. Yeah,
no
give
problem.
it to himself. And then I'm going to take it right back to play sneak attack. And here comes Gandalf.
I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me.
All right, so what would you like to do with Gandalf's ability?
We'll do 4 damage to, I guess, the one guarding the sign.
Sure. So maybe as soon as we can leave him, as soon as we can get him out of play, maybe we can do some sort of tricks to grab that Signs of Gollum.
And then I'll commit Gandalf to the quest.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and commit all of my characters to the quest. I'll do 5, 6, 7, 8, for a total of, let's see, I guess you're doing 5, so that brings us to 13.
Yep. I accidentally removed a resource from Legolas in case people are paying attention. I've just added it back to him. So.
Okay. All right, so are we ready for staging?
I guess so.
And it's time to see if this video ends before it's had a chance to begin.
Right.
Card number 1 is... discard 1 resource from each hero's resource pool if possible.
No.
Wow, that is just miserable.
I don't want to do that.
So that is going to strip a total of 6 resources. I have no way to cancel that effect.
Yikes. Okay, well.
Well,
that sucks.
That sucks for me. And card number 2 is Doomed 1 and Surge. So our threat is 34.
Yeah.
Oh god, so there's no Riverland locations in play to remove tokens from.
Nope.
So let's go ahead and put that in our discard pile. And of course, Surge.
Oh, good
Oh,
God.
why not? Another Hunters from Mordor. Wow.
Well,
so there are 39 cards left in the encounter deck, and we have 4 out of our 5 Hunters from Mordor in play.
Yeah.
So we are against a 16 threat. We have contributed 13 willpower. Shall we ditch any cards?
Oh, I didn't want to ditch this, but Campfire Tales, there you go.
All right. I think at this point I'm going to go ahead and get rid of... I think I will remove... Oh, this is tricky. Protector of Lorien. So that'll bring us to 15, and we'll end up having to increase our threat by 1 to 35.
Ugh, okay.
Alright, and I'm going to be losing some heroes this turn. So I guess at the end of questing, Gandalf bounces back to your hand.
Yeah.
Well, at least this will be our shortest video ever.
Yeah.
So let's see here. We, of course, move on to travel, and there's nothing to travel to.
No.
Let's go ahead and move on to engagement. So we've both got 35 threat. You are the first player.
I'll take the one that's wounded.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pull this guy down. So he is engaged with you. I'm not going to optionally engage one.
Okay.
So by engagement, we do your check, we do my check, and then we do your check
Yeah,
again.
of course, I had a way to deal with at least one of the hunters until my tactics resources were taken away,
Right.
which makes me very sad.
So now that we've got our shadow cards on the table, how do we want to go ahead and deal with these attacks? So we'll
Well,
resolve
let's see.
yours
So they're
first.
attacking for 4 each,
Right.
right? Oh, gosh. Well,
You could maybe take down one of them with you, I guess. Maybe we'll have to see.
I mean, I could do an undefended attack with Gimli and
Right.
hope to God there's not a shadow effect that boosts his attack like the Eastern Crows or something. Otherwise, he would survive with 1 hit point. I could then defend with... No, because then he dies. A hero's dying no matter what, am I correct?
It would certainly seem like it, yes.
Because there's going to have to be 1 undefended, 2 defended,
Yeah. So,
and then if someone's dying,
right.
and you have a hero dying.
Yes,
I know
spoiler
that
alert.
viewers have said we should play to the bitter end. However, I find that to be completely pointless.
Well,
I'm ready
shall
to-
we just go ahead and resolve this?
I mean,
think
we
it's
can
going to be a
resolve the
very
attacks,
quick
but
end.
I'm basically ready to throw in the towel. So
Sure.
I will have Legolas defend against the wounded one. There we go.
And no shadow
Nothing
card.
happens. So he takes 3 damage, correct?
Only 3. He's
Only
fine.
3.
Just walk it off, buddy.
Yeah, whatevs.
All
and
right.
then I will have... Well, Gimli's... Well, I don't have to kill Gimli. I could give... Well, but if it's undefended, then Theodred is dead, or Gimli dies. Good God.
This is like the perfect storm of this
Gimli will
encounter deck.
defend one of them. I mean, my Tal was thrown in, so I don't care. So he will defend one of them. No shadow effect.
No effect. And
So
this
he
would have been
takes
the
2 damage.
perfect treachery card to reveal, just because it would have made these guys perfectly manageable.
Right.
Well, maybe not completely manageable, but
Right.
if we'd have been lucky enough to just deal with a bunch of undefended attacks of 2, we could have maybe gotten enough momentum here. So Gimli ends up taking 2 damage. I think you already added that, right?
Yes, and now someone has to die because
Right.
it has to be undefended. I guess I'm going to kill Legolas. Well, I mean, I want to keep Theodred to pay for any sort of leadership cards. He'll be generating a lot of resources. Gimli has the mark on him, and he at least will be attacking for a greater number next turn. So Legolas, while he would give us quest progress, to me, that's sort of my rationale, and we'll just get rid of him.
Okay, so Legolas is going to take undefended attack.
Yeah.
All right, so of course there's no
Nothing.
shadow effect, but he will take 4 damage. So
Yeah.
Legolas is slain.
Yeah.
And over on my side of the table, things are looking a little bit better. Let's see here. I'm going to take this as an undefended attack. Hey, at least it wasn't, straight off the encounter deck here. So
Right.
the Sign of Gollum does nothing. I'm going to go ahead and assign that 4 damage to Bilbo. So goodbye, my hobbit friend.
Yeah.
And at least the staging area is pretty much empty, so let's
yeah,
go
that's
ahead and
thrilling.
refresh all of our characters, boost our threat by 1. Thank you for making me the first player. At least we don't have to worry about too many cards in our hand now that Bilbo is out of play. I don't have quite enough resources anymore for a certain wizard, so things are looking a little grim.
Yeah.
I suppose I will try to make the most of our last turn here. I will play a Westfold Horsebreaker.
Okay.
And that's all I'm going to do.
I can't do crap. So, I mean, I have a lot of options, but with 3 enemies engaged with me,
I think this is a personal record with 2 progress tokens on the current quest.
yeah, I'm not going to play anything. So.
All right. Well, questing. Let's see. I suppose I will go ahead and commit Eowyn to the quest. And I will...
What I wouldn't give for a quick strike right about now.
Yeah, no kidding. Or a good Well, I guess...
Well, the clue would still be in play, so I suppose that wouldn't really change too much.
Right.
But yeah.
You could finish off the one hunter from Mordor at least.
Right.
And if you, say, had 2 quick strikes, I could Westfold Horsebreaker for Gimli. But, if, I don't know, if wishes were... There's some saying like that.
If wishes were horses, yeah.
There you go. Maybe I'll have Gleowen draw me a card. So I'm going to go ahead and have my 4 committed to the quest. Are you going to contribute anybody?
No.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and have 4 committed to the quest.
Yeah. Do I sound defeated? I'm sure I do.
Just a little bit. So, All right. Card number 1 is going to be a Gladden Fields.
Okay.
Card number 2 is going to be... Well...
Hunters from Mordor.
You know what? Well, okay, yeah. So card number 2 is, when revealed, each location in the staging area gets +1 threat until the end of the phase.
Oh, lovely.
Then each player with a threat of 35 or higher, which is both of us, chooses and discards 1 card from his hand.
I'll get rid of a Blade of Gondolin.
I will get rid of a Daughter of Nimrodel. So... Now that we've done staging, I will strip 1 resource from Barivor. I'm going to go ahead and do Secret Paths on the Gladden Fields.
Okay.
So it looks like we're going to make 1, 2, 3, 4 progress. And now that we've quested successfully, the first player is going to look at the top 3 cards of the encounter deck, reveal 1, and add 1 of those cards to the staging area, and discard the 2 other cards. So, let's see, I can't draw multiple cards. So these are our 3. So which of these would we like to reveal and add?
Well, in the spirit of it needing to be the first player, right. I will just let you decide. All
right, so I'm going to pick the rather innocuous and harmless banks of the Anduin. Just to showcase a couple of the other locations here, we've got West Bank and East Bank, and it just demonstrates that a lot of these Hunt for Gollum locations, and generally it is locations that you're seeing in this quest, this increases attachment and events cards, costs by 1, and the East Bank increases ally cards by 1. But those are both discarded, and that is basically that. So no new engagements, of course. For travel, I guess we could travel to Gladden Fields. It doesn't really matter too much at this point. How do we want to go ahead and do combat? So let me go ahead and distribute shadow cards here.
You're the first player, so you get to defend first.
Right, so for me, I suppose I will go ahead and have Barivor defend against this attack, and my goal here is maybe to see if I can get you to kill anything.
Yeah.
Another Signs of Gollum is the Shadow card, which is really the perfect case here, is just having this 1 Signs of Gollum in play. Ideally, we'd be able to retrieve it, and there wouldn't be 4 Hunters from Mordor in play. Barivor is going to take 2 damage, and I will go ahead and move on to your defense. So what do you want to do?
Oh, jeez. Well, Theodred will defend against the first one. It doesn't matter.
Shadow card is no effect.
So he takes 3, correct?
Yes.
1,
It
2,
looks
3.
Yeah, it looks like if you defend 1, you may live, and then you'll have to undefend to kill Theodred, and then the Horsebreaker will allow you to probably kill 1 of these.
Yeah. All right. So Gimli will defend the next.
Okay, so Gimli defends, and the Shadow card is...
Oh, good God.
+1 attack, so it's going to be 5, which is 3 damage to Gimli. So...
Yep, dead.
Gimli is killed.
And then now Theodred is dead, and I am out of the game.
Right, and I guess you have to, increase your threat by 3 before you die, so...
Well, what else?
That's pretty miserable. Now that a player is eliminated, all of these enemies return to the staging area. So I'm just going to go ahead and put them up here. And now it is attack phase, so I'm going to go ahead and have the Westfold Horsebreaker attack the Hunters from Mordor for 0, which of course does nothing. And that brings me to the refresh phase. So I'm going to increase my threat by 1. Gladden Fields is the active location, so I will increase it by another 1. I'm going to go ahead and move to my resource phase. I'm going to draw a card. For planning, I am not really going to be... Well, let's see. I'm going to pay 1 to do Protector of Lorien on Barivor. I will... Let's see... I think that's all I'm going to do. For questing, I will go ahead and contribute no one to the quest. Well, no, let's see. I will go ahead and have Eowyn committed to the quest. So for staging, I'm only going to reveal 1 card now, since there's just 1 player in the game. And that card is reveal 1 additional card from the encounter deck. The additional card, of course, is Gladden Fields. Why not? So let's see if there's anything I can do about that. There is not. So I'm going to go ahead and discard a Strider's Path to boost Eowyn's willpower to 5. I'm up against 1, let's see, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 threat. I'm going to gain 11 threat, which puts me at 49. So I'm going to go ahead and travel. No options. Engagement. All of these enemies are going to come down and engage with me. Combat. Let me do my shadow cards. And I will go ahead and defend an attack with Gleowine. So remove 1 progress token from the current quest. So this is going to lose a step. Let's see, the Hunter is going to kill Gleowine. Another attack. I'm going to go ahead and have Barivor defend against this Hunter of Mordor. Its shadow card is nothing. So Barivor would be taking 2 damage. She would die. I'm going to go ahead and use Protector of Lorien. I'll discard Northern Tracker. I'll discard Rivendell Minstrel and Daughter of the Nimrodel to boost her defense to 5. I'm going to go ahead and take no damage from that attack. I will discard the Westfold Horsebreaker to ready Barivor, and I'm going to have Barivor defend against the second to last Hunters from Mordor. It has no shadow card. She takes no damage. I'm going to have this last Hunters from Mordor attack go undefended. The shadow card is remove 2 progress tokens. So let me, strip those off our quest here. Remove progress, and I will assign the undefended damage to Eowyn. So I've survived the last combat, and of course, as soon as I hit the refresh phase, I hit threat 51, and the game is over. So,
well, that sneaky Gollum has eluded our illustrious dead heroes.
yeah, I would say this kind of reminds me of sometimes people will say, why is it at the beginning of an RPG you fight the level 1 creatures? Why don't all the level 100 things just swarm the heroes from the very beginning? So, as we saw here, it's definitely a very effective strategy for the encounter deck. I honestly do not think this could have gotten much worse, other than just seeing some more signs preceding these Hunters from Mordor. So,
yeah.
Any final thoughts here, Matthew?
Like I mentioned, I had a feint in my hand, only 1, but that darn resource stripping card pretty much nullified that. But it probably would have just delayed the inevitable. So I was so excited to get into Shadows of Mirkwood, and we crashed and burned. So my excitement is a little bit less than it was, about how long have we been doing this? 10, 15 minutes? I don't know.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking forward to take 2, and hopefully we can do a smidge better than we did this time.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll do slightly better. I guess after one-shotting Escape from Dol Guldur with, pretty apparent grace, I think. This was, I'll say, a little bit of an upset. So, I guess that about covers it. So, as always, thank you guys so much for sticking it through to the very bitter end with us. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you enjoy our progression series, be sure to subscribe to our channel. Feel free to share your thoughts if you have any tips or tricks. Maybe there's some way we could have pulled a victory out of this one. I'm not exactly convinced, but feel free to let us know in the comments below, and until take 2, we'll see you guys next time.
Take care.